Hey, good afternoon, everybody. So, as you can see, the topic is requirements management automation with Atlassian Stack. I have been working with Atlassian tools for around 10 years now. And for the last 5 years, I have been an Atlassian consultant. Primarily worked with eBay and extended the tool stack at various eBay geographies. And right now, I'm working with Ingenico and various Ingenico subsidiaries, whether it is in India, France, Brussels, Hoofddorp, Spain, Argentina. So I'm overlooking the Atlassian, rollout and also working with the Agile coaches. So as you can see, the topic of the presentation is requirements management, but I will also try to cover the topic in context of Agile methodologies and how you can actually work alongside Agile coaches to set up this. So why do we need tools? Why automation around requirements management? When I started like 10 years ago, I remember in most of the projects, the files were doc files, MS doc files. And after 6 months of the project, nobody knew where the document files are on the shared drive. And then people came up with certain documentation tools and they started deploying them. And what happened was, okay, you have one nice documentation portal where all the documentation is, but how do you link that documentation with the project being worked upon by developers? So that was a big headache. So you have the requirements, and then you have the developers working on the requirements, but developers don't know where is the feature that they are working on is linked back to the actual requirement, or how does it fit into the bigger picture. So this is one of the benefits of having the requirements located in a centralized location and easily accessible via a set of decentralized, well-connected Atlassian apps. That is, you have your requirements in Confluence. I'm going to share the structure, the good practices that we are following for the requirements, and then you can connect your apps, whether it is Jira, HipChat, Bamboo, for everything, right from the point product owner writes the requirements up to the point code gets deployed in Bamboo or Jenkins. Achieving traceability, one of the biggest problems for the managers is how do they see what is the progress of the team. Okay, they have the requirements, but how much the team has progressed when it comes to implementing those requirements. So when we have a whole stack of Atlassian being used, the traceability thing becomes very easy. I have some charts in the end, which we are using to show how easy it is to trace the progress of the team and for the teams to see what is next going to be built. Advanced dashboards. This is something which we have implemented. Basically, instead of expecting the management team to extract Excel reports from the issue navigator view, if you are using Jira, you would know what I mean. Most of the managers go to the issue navigator, they extract the Excel sheets, do the calculations. But what we have done, we have created a lot of advanced reports, and all those reports are present on Jira dashboards that anybody can access. Globally distributed Scrum teams can't function without the right tools. There are a lot of Agile coaches out there which say, okay, we only want to use whiteboard, but how are you going to link the stories? How are you going to link the stories with the bugs? What about regression tests? What about attachments? So you need tools. Atlassian Marketplace is there, which supports the plugins. And of course, then we have the permission schemes, which helps in implementing ubiquitous security mechanism across various systems. So you can intelligently use permission schemes to show data which is to be shown to the right people and to hide data. So we have permission schemes, we have issue security levels, we have so much things. So just to give an overview of the terminology that I'm going to be using, how many of you use Spotify? So this Swedish company is really is at the forefront of Agile innovation. So this is their Spotify Agile model, and what we are doing at Ingenico is something similar. A lot of companies have adopted to exactly this or something similar. So we have something called tribes, which is in a coarse grain language, if I have to say, it's something of a business domain. Then we have squads, and then we have chapters. Squads are basically a team of people that can get things done. It's a cross-functional team that has QAs, that has developers, that has people who specialize in UI, UX. So we have squads. Each squad has a product owner, and then we have the whole tribe thing. And this kind of works pretty well because teams are cross-functional, and of course there is support given by the operations team when it is required. But it's not that they are preparing the releases for the squads. They just help the squads to make those releases. There's a big difference. In traditional approach, we expect the operations team to make releases for us, but when we automate everything using the Atlassian stack, we just take the help of the release team to make the releases. So this is an important slide. This is basically a view from 30,000 feet above. What is the the structure given to the requirements in terms of Jira and Confluence, and how it maps to the, we can say, the organization structure. So here you have an initiative which basically can be a product roadmap, a very high level product roadmap, which is, you can say, as a portfolio. Some of the companies also use the term program, so at the program level or at the portfolio level. Then you have, at the tribe level, once the discussions and the solution, the business discusses the initiative, at the tribe level, you can have epics. I'm going to also show how this is mapped to the tools. So at the tribe level, you can have epics, and then, of course, further, the epics are broken down into squads, and then you have the sprint backlog, and depending upon the maturity of the team, they can have 1 to 4 weeks of sprints. So here, basically, each phase involves planning. Each phase involves entering documentation in Confluence, and then how it is linked to the Jira. And also here, you would see that there's a clear, as I said, that this is like a very brief overview. At an organization level, what we have done internally, we are using like a in-house agile model, and we have clear demarcation of, okay, who will be involved here. Okay, here it's like mainly the architects, here it's the developers and the scrum masters, and here is like the top management guys. So there you can have a clear demarcation of the roles around, requirements and that who's going to be doing what. It's something similar to SAFe, Scaled Agile Framework. So this is basically an overview of the delivery rhythms. What exactly at the strategy level, you have the high level roadmap. This is what is the initiatives, which is the responsibility of senior product owners and the management. Then they have a discussion around the strategy, which is then, which comes down to the epics. Epics are basically your releases. So how we are doing things, our releases are around epics. Because epics contain a lot of stories, and within a release, we can see how many features are actually, tangible business requirements which are available to the end customer. So epics are bound to the releases, and they contain high-level estimate, not as fine-grained as stories. And then we have, at the sprint level, we have sprint plan, we have estimation, we have story points. So at the level of the stories, we have more fine-grained estimation, story points. And this is something which the team works with. The whole team sits together, the sprint planning meeting. Then, of course, once the sprint is completed, I'm going to show a demo. What happens, the tickets, there are a lot of flows that you can use. Once the sprint is completed, you can make sure that the same ticket moves to the release board of the release team, that is a Kanban board, or you can have a duplicate ticket created for the release team. But this part is basically your integration, release, and the builds. Yeah, so this is another interesting slide. Basically, I really wanted to share this. Based on my experience, whenever I go to a lot of conferences, I hear a lot about Agile, and I hear a lot about Atlassian tools, but I find it hard how to map the tools with the Agile process, actually. Because when you're doing it for, like, let's say 200 Scrum teams, then you cannot have like, okay, I've set up a Scrum board and that is it. It works. But for 200 Scrum teams, you're working in a scaled Agile environment, you need to have some level of, recommended structure of how you would map the requirements, how you will map the, how the organization structure kind of fits in with the tools. So this is what we are doing, and it is kind of working well for us. So as I showed the Spotify model before, each tribe is mapped to a Jira project. So each tribe has its own Jira project. Each squad is basically a team, you can say, is mapped to a Scrum board. In Jira, one project can have like any number of Scrum boards, because Scrum board are built on JQL filters, so you can specify whatever we want. So if I have a project, let's say X, and there are 5 squads, so I can say I have squad 1, which is like project X, and squad is equal to, let's say, London. Then I have project X, squad is equal to Sydney. So in this way, you can have one squad, one scrum board, but one tribe, one project. So this was something which we discussed quite a lot, how we would scale this, but this is turning out to be a good solution. Then you have a release roadmap, which is basically nothing more than a set of epics over time. This is, again, this can be done in many ways. In Jira, you can have your product owner's Kanban backlog. Either you can have that, or you can do, also some of the teams, what they're doing, they are writing the content. If you have an epic, which is having some architecture diagrams related to it and stuff, they're having the content created in Confluence using charting plugin, Glyphy or Lucid Charts, and they are using Kumala workflows for approval of content. It's basically a plugin you can have for workflows in Confluence around content approval. So for the release roadmap, you have set of epics over time. Then you have a product stream, that is business roadmap, that is set of initiatives over time. So in the hierarchy, if you recall, we had initiatives over the epics. So that way, initiatives, what we have done, we have the epics coming off a project, and the project is the tribe, and we have created a separate project for the initiatives. So initiatives are in a separate project, then they are linked to the epics, and then the epics are further divided into stories. And in Jira, if you're using portfolio plugin, the integration is now very well supported. It was not so before 3 years ago, let's say, when the portfolio plugin is not there. There's a custom field called parent link. So in portfolio, when you link epic to an initiative, then you open the epic, you see that the parent link is there, and it is really helpful because what we have done, like for example, there was a use case in Jira, when you give some work logged on subtask, it auto sums up to at the story level. But if you do it at the story level, it doesn't sum up to the epic level. So what we have done, we have written some customized scripts to sum up the work from the epic to from the story to the epic, from the epic to the initiative. And all this was possible because there is a very clear in Jira now linking process. Initiatives are linked to the epics using parent link. The epics are linked to the stories using story link. So that way, any kind of customizations, scripts or plugins, they become very easy as the linking is very easy. Then you have the sprint backlog. Sprint backlog is like, it's just the backlog of your Scrum board. Requirements task hierarchy. Now, this is something you can have it in portfolio. Basically, what we do, we have some of the teams are using portfolio plans. But right now, one of the problems in portfolio, one of the very annoying things in portfolio is that they have not released a gadget. So if I have a plan in portfolio, I cannot show it as a gadget on dashboard. And if I have to take an iframe. And by default in Jira, pasting HTML snippets in gadgets is disabled. So that is considered like a cross-site security issue. So when you're using portfolio, this is something which is kind of very annoying, which you might come across, so be prepared for it. Or you can use the issue structure plugin, which we are actually right now evaluating. By ALM Works, they have a booth as well. So then you have the requirements content hierarchy. I'm going to show in the demo how we have the content in Confluence. Basically, just to give an overview, as I showed the initiative epic story thing, we have the content of the initiative in Confluence, and then we use the Jira macro to fetch all the linked epics within that page. So for the management team, they don't have to log on to Jira. They can see all the charts, all the progress of the teams across all the squads within Confluence itself using gadgets, Jira charts, and Jira macro. So reporting. So this is the motto of our team. Keep it lean, make reporting a dashboard, not an activity. This is why our team is getting very famous within Ingenico group, because we have created some pretty advanced reports. There are a couple of plugins I'm going to show. You can use EasyBI or DataPlane. We are currently using DataPlane plugin for creating reports. So every tribe lead, continuous delivery lead, squad member, they have their own dashboards. So the moment they log on to Jira, they can see how things are working and how much progress each team has made. I'm going to show some charts. Then this is some of the common use cases. Display the historical velocity. I'm surprised, that still it is not supported out of the box in Jira. So if you are a product owner or scrum master, you want to see the velocity of last 5 sprints. You go to the board and then you see the velocity. How annoying is that? So you need something that can show you, okay, velocity 1, this many points, velocity 2, this many points. You cannot have that right now out of the box in Jira. So we are using plugins and we are using some scripting to create those reports. Shows evolution of product backlog over a period of time. Again, how many epics and stories were added over a period of time. That is also implemented. Then indicates the features to be released in the upcoming release cycle. We use the term service increment. There is a similar term called program increment in Scaled Agile framework. So basically, you need to have the reports of the features that will be released in the upcoming release cycle. Then the ones released in the latest release cycle. Shows the number and the list of defects created and resolved per release cycle, tracks progress of initiative across tribes and squads at story level using the ratio of story points completed, tracking progress of epics at tribe level by grouping together stories. So this is also something which you can implement using plugins. It is not supported out of the box. So I want to see grouping of stories per epic in the reports. So this is something which is kind of supported by plugins and issue descoped from the release cycle. So plugin essentials, some of the plugins that we are using. So these two are good reporting plugins. We are currently using Data Plane, but also evaluating EasyBI. But yeah, most of our reports currently are in Data Plane. Script Runner. Script Runner plugin is something which we have used quite a lot. It is pretty important for project governance point of view and implementing some rules. I'm going to share some examples. So automation of various business processes and enforcing certain project governance regulations for consistency in workflow and reporting. Project governance is the key for reporting. If you don't get reporting right, management will never buy Jira. So this is the key. So I will, just to give you some examples, there's a requirement which we have implemented that one epic can have only one fixed version. So we are not allowing anybody to enter more than one fixed version on an epic issue type. Because if you feel that the epic is bigger than the one fixed version, you split the epic. Because if one epic is across multiple release versions, that's going to spoil your reporting. Second thing, when you change the fixed version of the epic, automatically all the stories should be updated with the new fixed version. So this is something very important, because if you are a product owner or scrum master, you have an epic, you update the release version to the new release, then you manually have to update for all the linked stories. But in our system, we have automated it. So the moment you change the fixed version of an epic, all the child stories automatically get this new fixed version. And same, it's the other way around. So if you have a story, you change the epic link of the story, that is, you make a new epic as a parent, the story automatically inherits the new fixed version. So this is very important from a point of view of reporting, because every morning then you will see how many stories are there in the release. Tempo timesheets, extracting reports about work logs. So yeah, I mean, if you are doing anything related to work logs, you need tempo timesheets. It's like the de facto plugin for doing anything with the time logs, work logs basically. Jira portfolio, our experience with portfolio has been so far, because it doesn't have a REST API yet, so we cannot automate certain tasks. It doesn't even have documentation on the internal APIs yet. What to say of REST API? It doesn't have the gadgets yet, so that was also an issue. But yes, we can quickly create issue and see the whole hierarchy. That is the biggest USP of portfolio for us, that we can see initiatives, stories, and all those things, and we can quickly create issues. But yes, we get a lot of complaints from the product owners that this is a bit confusing, because also it does automatic scheduling. And as a product owner, you would not know how it does automatic scheduling. I mean, is it the priority of the ticket? No. Is it the skill set of the team? No. Is it the estimation? No. There are 7 or 8 parameters, and it never tells you which parameter is based, it uses to automatically create the release date. So it is like really, I had a really hard time giving trainings around portfolio. I could never answer the questions because the algorithm is not there. So better Excel reporting, it's another good plugin actually. Sometimes you do need reports from Excel to share it with third-party vendors who don't have access to Jira, so they cannot see your dashboards, how amazing dashboards you have built. So you need Excel reports, and we use better Excel reporting. And in better Excel reporting, you can also customize your reports using Groovy, again, scripting. So then you have Glyphy, basically creating architecture, business flow diagrams in Confluence. For that, you have Glyphy, and then Kumala workflows, approvals and reviews of created content. So on Confluence, sometimes the business creates some important content that needs approval. So we use Kumala for it, and it works pretty well.
It seems that the automation doesn't work because the content was not released properly.
Maybe a null pointer exception in production. Huh? Let me switch the slide. Ah, it works. Huh? Had to reboot. So this is the essentials. Requirements hierarchy split across the Jira issue types: story, epic, initiative. Each type having its own workflow. This is very important because each type has its own workflow. So the definition of done is very important. It varies team per team. Some teams say we are done when they are done on their development machine, which is a bad practice. But some teams are more mature. They say we are done when they are done on staging. And some teams which are very advanced with continuous integration, they say we are done when we are done on production. So it kind of, Jira is, the amazing thing about Jira is you can have workflows for different issue types. So you can configure and customize a lot of things based on the maturity of this team and still have the same workflow across multiple boards, because it is important to have similarity in workflow. Only then you can have consistency in reporting. Then leveraging a combination of Scrum and Kanban. So we are using both Scrum and Kanban. Scrum is used for the development teams. Kanban is used for the product owners to approve the backlog, and also for the release team. So once this, the team says sprint done, the issue automatically moves to the release board. That is a Kanban board for the release teams. So, I mean, it's not that we are just using Scrum or we just using Kanban. It depends on the requirements, and I feel that both of them kind of work well in their own, when they have their own fit. So then creating advanced dashboards, as I already shared, content hierarchy in Confluence, displaying Jira tickets. This is very important. You know, if you are able to display right gadgets, right issue macros, use right Jira macros in Confluence, then the management team doesn't need to even log on to Jira. They can see all the information they want in Confluence itself. So this is kind of really good. Creation on sprint and release notes in Confluence and linking it back. Of course, then once you create the sprint, you can create your release notes in Confluence, or you can automate this task as well, as everything is REST API these days. So you can do a REST call from Jira to Confluence to create a release note. So when you release a version, automatically you can create a release notes with a list of issues being released. So yeah, this is some of the samples of the production. I was finally able to get some approval. Okay, wanted to share some actual snapshots of data. So this is like one of the charts we use, features released. So this is like what are the features released in a certain fixed version. So anybody who logs on, they can see, okay, for this tribe, these are the features that are being released. So this is, yeah, I mean, for the management, this is what they want to see. First thing in the morning, what is being released. Upcoming features, okay, the features which are upcoming, basically the fixed version is equal to the earliest unreleased version. In the JQL, if you type, you get this. So this is all done using the data plane plugin. So yeah, I mean, this is something which we also have on the dashboard. Yeah, this is another thing, very nice thing we have. We see the progress across the squads. So basically you have a tribe, you have the squad. So then you see this 100%, basically this means done, and the gray means not done. So if you are a tribe lead, you come in the morning, you can see immediately which squad is having a impediment. Why are they not doing it? What is the ratio of done stories versus non-done stories? The criteria of done stories in Jira always is resolution is set. So whenever in Jira you say done, always make sure in workflow you're setting up the resolution. So this is like the various squads in the tribe, and yeah, I mean for the tribe lead, this is like reporting heaven. He sees first thing in the morning, what is happening. Then Again, amazing thing. You don't have to go visit each and every board to see the historical velocity. You have the historical velocity across all the squads. So each squad is basically the Scrum board. So from last 10 sprints, you can see here. So this is something which was very, appreciated, and this is implemented using the script runner and the data plane plugin. Historical velocity across squads and across the Scrum boards. Okay. Feature backlog over a period of time. So how the features are growing over a period of time. So this is the feature backlog. This is, when I use the word feature, I mean the epic issue type in Jira, because we call that a feature. So this is how it is growing over a period of time. And the segmentation, this is basically the releases, the release version. So over a period of time, how epics, the number of epics are growing per release. So this is how the segmentation is. And because I cannot show the live report, but in the live report, when you hover over these bars, you get more information, or these bars are clickable. So when you click on any bar, you can go to the issue navigator and see the whole list of issues. So, story points per release. This is again how many story points are being done per release. This is again something which is very important for the management to see. How many story points are there in the release and how things are going. And yeah, I mean, you need to have some plugins. We use, in the JQL, we use the script runner plugin. Like for example, if I ask you, get me all the stories of unresolved epics. This is a common day-to-day question of product owners. This is not supported out of the box in Jira. Get me all the stories of unresolved epics, of all the unresolved epics. So we use JQL, the script runner's JQL functions to fetch this kind of data. So let me show you a quick demo. Okay. We'll try to keep the mic here. I can do it without.
You need to slide review.
Oh, how do I do that?
Just hold this and slide left or right,
Oh.
because it's the under screen. This.
Oh,
Yeah.
Then I won't be able to see what is on my screen.
Yeah. Okay. You will not be able. You have to change this in configuration.
Shall I close the presentation?
Yeah. Just close the presentation. Yeah. Double click on the screen. Like right click, I mean.
Oh.
Right click on the screen, just go to the configuration, display settings, and just scroll down and change for not extend but
Duplicate.
yeah, exactly. And I think you will have to switch to the resolution of just HD, not 4K.
This one?
No, this, yeah, that one.
Changes. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah.
So just to show you a quick demo, I have my product sprint story backlog here. So what I have done, I have created swim lanes based on the squads. So you see London, Sydney. So this is something which the product owners can configure or ask us for configuration. So when they see in the morning, they can see, okay, which squad is working on which stories, or which stories we have to refine. So this is basically the Kanban board for the product owners. the moment the story moves into ready for sprint, you see the demo 5, that is in the Sydney squad. So if I open the board for Sydney, in the backlog, you have the story. So this story automatically comes in the backlog when the product owner moves it to ready for sprint. And going further on in the active sprints, so I have this QA in progress, then I open this, the demo release board. So currently it's empty. So the moment the team says, okay, QA is done, and sprint is done, you see the story come up on the demo release board. So this is like a combination of Kanban and Scrum that we are using. Kanban for the first phase, POs, Scrum for the middle phase, the development teams, then again Kanban for the release phase. So automatically this comes up. Now in Jira, the interesting thing is that the moment the story moves to the rightmost column, the points also gets burnt. So the developers also feel, okay, we are doing something, even if we have not deployed the code on production yet. So story points are getting burned. So again, like one of the examples of script runner, what I was saying, sometimes product owners creates a lot of stories, whatever comes to their mind, but that doesn't mean it is important for the business. So what we have implemented, a quick check, like from script runner plugin, a story cannot move to ready for sprint until and unless it has a epic connected to it. So when I try to move this workflow validation test to ready for sprint, I get an error. Issue must be connected to an epic. Because it is not connected to an epic, now I open it. And now it moves ready for sprint. So earlier it was not connected. So these are small things. But believe me, if you don't implement them, you will never get reporting right. Because people will create stories that are not connected to epics. So then how are you going to get your right dashboarding? So then again, this is the Sydney-London thing. And again, just to have a quick example, I had to use incognito mode because I'm using Jira for Confluence user management. And in the same window, it just doesn't work right. There are some session issues. So you just open it here. You have your initiative here. Within this, you can list the epics. Okay, get me all the, using the Jira macro. So like this, then you can further customize it. So that way, this whole thing, you can customize the JQL query, like customize the hell out of it. So this is just an example. Underneath the initiative, you can have epics, then show all the epics. Underneath the epic, you can have the stories. So when the management logs in, okay, this is my initiative, this is my epic, this is my story. And then you can integrate the charts as well. All the data plane charts, gadgets are integrated in Confluence. So then they don't even have to log on to Confluence. Everything is under one roof. So yeah, thank you. That's it from my side. Any questions anybody has on anything? Yes.
I have really few questions. First, can you back to that one of the first slides when you defined the squads, and you said that for your one squad is one project?
No, one squad is one Scrum board.
Okay. So let me understand it.
Yes.
Okay.
This is
one tribe. Okay. Is it so? This one project delivers one product. How it matches to products?
yes.
So one project delivered one product. Have you ever seen situation where that one project delivers many products?
Well, the product roadmap is at the initiative level. So we have a separate project for initiatives.
Okay.
Each product roadmap would have, okay, for these kind of, after 3 months, we will be releasing 2 versions.
Okay.
And each version has a set of epics.
Yes.
So, and within those epics, there are stories. So, when we say product release does not map to a project in Jira. It maps to a
Yes.
list of features.
Releases and list of
So,
initiatives.
yes, so product release, whole product is maybe 3 releases. Each release has a set of features.
Okay.
And they are epics, basically. And they can be from 5 different projects.
Right. Right.
So it's
okay.
not that, we are not kind of making that one product is one project. No, a product
No. Okay.
can have epics from 10 projects.
Okay,
in Jira.
agree.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned as well something that you limit the version for Epic to have only one. Yeah. What if Epic might be delivered to, for example, few products, or might be delivered to few customers, means few releases. This time it doesn't make sense to limit to one, right?
But we avoid that because we kind of have, as I said, project governance, because we want reporting to be clean. So what we do, if the product owners feels like it is something which the agile coaches are training the product owners, if they feel that the epic is big for the release, they should split the epic.
No. I mean, rather that the Epic, the same functionality, is delivered, for example, to 2 customers, and they get different release schedules, so it needs to be like assigned to different version numbers, right?
Yeah. We can then clone the epic.
Okay, so you clone it.
Yes, because then if you are using the same epic in the 2 customers, then again that's going to have an impact on reporting. Because those customers might have a different...
But how you later can see progress of this epic if the second is cloned, but the real work is done on the first one?
Because when you clone it, you have the clones link.
Okay, and during reporting, you kind of, if
you
somebody choose the cloned one, you show the status of the...
yes, but we haven't had this requirement so far. I think except in one case, every time we have been able to create a separate epic for a version, but I understand your point really well. Yeah.
So next question is how you deal with the portfolio making a big mess at the very top level. So for example, with the versions, if somebody change a version of the epic or initiative level, it's automatically changed down to each story. And for example, in our mode, stories may have the version assigned for the build number, for example. So how you avoid this mess? Being by, for example, product owners.
It's very hard, to be honest. You have to train the product owners, also restrict portfolio usage.
Okay.
So we have permissions around portfolio. We do not allow all users to create plans or make changes. So we have certain restrictions around portfolio, but this is something which is kind of, not easy to fix. Because that's what portfolio kind of gives you, but if you misuse it, then of course, then there is a conflict.
Yeah. And do you use the portfolio teams?
No, not yet.
No,
not yet.
Okay.
Because then that will further complicate the scheduling. Already it's so complicated because if you use portfolio teams, it takes into account the availability of the teams, the skill set of the teams. So we don't want things to be further complicated for a product owner.
You use like you give only a portfolio plan, the single board with given content, right?
Yes.
And the sprint scheduled.
Yeah, because in portfolio, when we create a plan, we import from the Scrum boards and the project.
Exactly.
So automatically the sprints and everything is imported, but we ignore the team features.
Okay, so you rely on the teams filling up those sprints and not allowing portfolio to predict it, to forecast it more or less.
We kind of avoid any scheduling or prediction by portfolio because it is not very intuitive how it works, and it causes a lot of confusion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.